You're Harry freaking Potter. We don't prefer Gandalf, Merlin, or Oz. You're a whole lot hotter.
Okay guys, quickie updates because I'm in a hurry and my camera malfunctioned yesterday and I have to do this in basically one take, so here we go. First off, my friend, who we don't know her alias yet, is doing vlogs. We just don't have any of her vlogs yet because she didn't have time to make any before she went to Nicaragua for 3 weeks. So her job will be making awesome thoughts from places videos when she gets back from Nicaragua. Now, Harry Potter Book Club. This week we read this book, and it's called either Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone. I'm gonna tackle that little mountain first. So, the Sorcerer's Stone is not a thing. They invented it to make the Philosopher's Stone myth not impede the sales of the more profitable by population US release. The problem with the Philosopher's Stone myth, if you know about the Philosopher's Stone myth, it is highly graphic and involves human sacrifice and is kind of gory, and anyone who knows about it probably wouldn't buy a book marketed to their kids about it for their kids. So, yeah, probably maybe a smart move by the PR department, but it's pretty obvious that it's actually the Philosopher's Stone. Anytime that you've read a Philosopher's Stone myth, it basically mirrors what's in this book. So there's no real debate among fandom. So, case closed. If you want to know more about it, I'll have a blog post up probably tomorrow on the Nerdvlogs Tumblr, link in the description, about it in more detail. As far as the movie's concerned, I think it did a reasonable job adapting the book, although there were things they changed that I really didn't understand, like why did Quirrell have to die by crumbling into stone instead of, having him and Harry have this, suspenseful touch battle. Okay, actually, yeah, that verb's suggestive, I get it now. The main thing about the book that was lost on the movie was probably character development. So there are 3 things that a movie in a series or a book in a series has to do to set up the entire series as the first entry that ultimately impede upon the plot. Number 1, character definition. Number 2, world building. Number 3, series setup. So number 1 is kind of obvious because your characters don't have a preset place like every other book in the series, and so you have to spend the time like every other book does, or movie or whatever, setting up what their characters initially are so you can see the character arc over the story. Pretty basic, but it does take up time. World building, so that you have an expansive universe to put your series in and you don't bog yourself down by having the same locations all the time and the same interactions. You have to set up a scenario that's bigger than the story than is just in the first book can tell. And then finally, same thing with the world building, series setup, so you need to set up the main plot for the rest of the series that's going to happen. Ultimately, all of these things boil down to you have more character development in books than you do in movies, because all of those things need to be added in all the time, and there has to be something you cut out, and that ultimately becomes character development. In terms of the book-to-movie creation that I can give examples of, the main idea that really struck me was the Dursleys are vastly different characters in the movie than they are in the book. In the book, they're more afraid, those ultra-conservative weirdos that are just afraid of anything that's different than themselves. But in the movie, they're cartoonish bad guys that are no, everything but us is wrong, and we are right, and we are assholes. And their kid, actually Dudley's pretty much on par. He's just portrayed as that greedy, over-spoiled brat of a kid that's raised in the terrible family that's the school bully and all these different things, and he's always got his way in life. I separate the stories into 2 different subsets. Set 1 is the stories that are the plot and setup are basically self-contained within the book, and then the stories where they're part of the overarching plot of the series. And I'll talk more about them as I get to their respective books and I finish up their respective lists. But the lists go: type A is Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Goblet of Fire. And list B is Prisoner of Azkaban, Order of the Phoenix, and the Half-Blood Prince. And then when you get to Deathly Hallows, it's kind of both, and once again we'll talk about that when we get there.